services and applications are enabled by the relationships that are implicit and explicit between you and me, and my interests and where I am. So it's turning this world upside down in a really exciting way.
Here, you're in the venture capital business and other businesses, but here's what's interesting to me. Take applications, and you've set up this huge fund for when you can raise some money because you understood where applications would go. This is pre-iPhone, or at the time of iPhone. And a friend of mine from Apple said to me, they showed it to you, and in the first hour, you said, I'm in.
I did.
Well, how did you know?
Well, I get to hang around a lot of really smart entrepreneurs and smart people, and then always in the back of my mind is there's Bill Joy, and Bill Joy was whispering in my head. He said, John, these smartphones, they change everything. They know who you are, they know where you are. They're broadband, they're always connected, they're always on, and that's a bigger deal than the PC. That's an extraordinarily powerful new platform. And sure enough, it's less than 2 years since Apple introduced that. They've sold 85 million iPhones and iPod Touches. And then, you know this very well, it was just this year that Apple introduced the tablet, and there will be others. But they sold 1 million tablets in 28 days. Now, it took them 74 days to sell 1 million of these. So this tablet, this iPad, is not some kind of big iPod. This is a new paradigm. And we're just at the beginning. Imagine 10 years forward.
Well, you imagine 10 years forward.
This audience, they imagine 10 years
exactly.
forward. Yeah.
We can do a social network, and so we showed clearly why social networking is important by asking where we go in 10 years. But go ahead, think 10 years in terms of, because you said to me, and I did a couple of shows on the iPad when he came out with Mossberg and others. Steve Jobs held this up to you and said, this is my best life's work.
He said that. He said, John, this is the best work of my life. And I said, well, to date.
But why does he think that?
It's not a computer. It's, you don't need files. You don't need mice. They're so old, you know. It's magic, you know. What you see is what you
touch. Mice are related to mouses. So.
Mouses, right. And so I think Steve reimagined a whole new experience that I don't want to call a computer. I think these are immersive new kinds of magical surfaces for interactions with information and each other. You and I can have a conversation here, and it's not rude for me to point to this and show you stuff. Whereas if this was a laptop and I had this thing up here, that's not socially acceptable.
My only small problem with that is that people come on the show, and sometimes I watch them as they're answering the question to me, looking down like this.
Oh,
that's a rule that I would like.
I found I can take it to concerts and symphonies and church. And
God will get you. There is also this. Take a look. Well, first of all, since you've been promoting this so well.
By the way, I own no Apple stock. I'm not going to. But the iPhone.
No, but okay, go ahead. But before you say you don't know Apple stock, there is this.
Regrettably. What was I thinking?
I don't know. Well, you have a fund for applications, though.
We raised a $100 million iPhone.
Right.
And we announced it the day they announced the App Store. We had no idea if this was going to work or not. And the first year we got 5,000 proposals for new ventures. We read them all.
Okay.
And then we invested in 14 companies, three of which are stealth. I want to tell you some statistics. These blew me away when I looked at them. This year, those ventures are going to do $100 million in revenues. They have 100 million people who downloaded their applications. And those people are spending 80 million minutes a day in these applications. And so in 14 or so months, we ran out of money, $100 million blown. So we went back to, the piggy bank and got another $100 million so we could invest in iPad applications. And other tablets.
So what's with Steve and Adobe? What you were thinking, wasn't it?
Well, he has a note on his website about it. He says Flash is buggy and uses a lot of processing power, and it's not part of the platform.
You think that was the processing power or something else?
No, it uses up the battery life. That's right. Troublesome. Battery is key. One of the magical things about this, it runs for 10 hours. is the battery, part of that is the processor.
Let me go off on a quick little tangent, because I was just reading something, and I'm doing something with Bill Gates in about a week or two about energy. How are we making great progress in terms of understanding how to make better batteries?
No, battery improvement is coming very slowly. There are some disruptive things kind of over the edge of the horizon, on our radar, but it's been painfully slow.
All right,
But batteries are super important.
Beyond Adobe, I mean, what else does this need to make it better? In other words, how will it be different? Let's assume that people at Apple know how to make it better. What do they need to do in the next year to say?
I think
So it'll be a very
what
different.
needs to be done out here by the entrepreneurs, the innovators, it's the applications and the services that will go on this. I mean, there's the obvious things that people, they want a camera and so forth, but we've just begun. These things are going to have 10 times more memory. They're going to be 5 times as fast. And that'll happen in 3 to 5 years. It's going to be remarkable. They'll have a terabyte of storage. They'll hold hundreds of full-length movies.
Will they have phones and cameras?
Will they be connected?
Will they have multiple applications so you can use multiple
I
applications?
don't think there's going to have a phone in it.
Well, you could talk to it like that. Okay, let me talk about one thing. Mentioning Steve Jobs, and I want to talk about Perkins and others, but if you talk about Jobs and Gates and Bezos and Larry and Sergey and Mark Zuckerberg, what do they have in common? I mean, you know these people. Is there
That's a good question. I was thinking about this, and when I met these people, they were all in their 20s or 30s. They were male. They were dropouts, usually of computer science programs at great universities like Harvard and Stanford. They were nerds. Ironically, they had no social life whatsoever, here on the verge of this great social revolution. And I think that's because they were caught in a desperate, deep love affair with their companies. They were passionate about the products that their companies were creating. And they were out to change the world, absolutely and positively. I think they were missionaries. They were on a mission, not mercenaries.
Okay, explain that, because you made that distinction to me some time ago, the difference in missionaries and mercenaries.
Yeah, so this is about culture, and I don't want to draw too great an extreme, but in tech companies, whether it's Silicon Alley or Silicon Valley, you can see these two kinds of cultures to varying degrees. The mercenaries are really like Andy Grove, paranoid and very opportunistic. They're driven by fear. The missionaries, on the other hand, they're pulled by passion. They see opportunity and the ability to do something strategic. The mercenaries are always after the deal. The missionaries are seeking the partnership for the long run. The mercenaries, they're in a kind of race, a sprint to beat the competition. The missionary culture is really obsessing on the culture, the customer. That's what Jeff Bezos always tells us. So, mercenaries, they're motivated by financial statements, and there's sometimes a sense of kind of entitlement in the mercenary cultures. The missionary cultures are all about value statements. Bill Campbell tells us that, and they're about a contribution as opposed to an entitlement. Get to the bottom line, the mercenaries have got an incredible lust for making money, and the missionaries are interested in making meaning and also money. I think anybody who tells you they're not interested in making money is probably not telling you the truth.
But I mean, and clearly Michael Aaron is interested in that.
So is Michael a mercenary? Is Michael a mercenary or a missionary? But where this comes home is when you look at a Steve
He's
Jobs.
a missionary from a mercenary.
Look at Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg or Mark Perkins or Jeff Bezos. These folks have turned down opportunities to sell their companies for maybe $1 billion.
Well, that's because they
don't.
That's because they were betting on the come.
It's because they're on a mission.
Okay.
They're passionate about these products.
Steve Jobs famously said, and it's at least been attributed to